Salvete discipuli. In this video, we will study more details about the volcanic eruption that destroyed Pompeii. And also, I must warn you, if you are not one of my students, this video will contain some spoilers about Book 1 of the Cambridge series. Do not watch to the end of this video if you don't want to hear what happens. August 20, 79 CE. Earthquakes begin in the area surrounding Mount Vesuvius. Now, I want you to look at something, people. This is Mount Vesuvius today, okay? Back in the time of Pompeii, it was like this. You see where the cursor is going? We have pictures that they have, paintings from Pompeii. All of what you see here, okay, all of this was eventually going to just explode in a massive explosion, the equivalent of which was several atomic bombs. August 23. Earthquakes have increased in severity over these 3 days. Ironically, today is the festival of Vulcanalia, celebrating the Roman god of fire. So it's possible that the people at the time were saying, oh, well, Vulcan is the god of fire, the god of volcanoes, the god of earthquakes. So they may have even thought that this was very appropriate since it was his festival. But guess what, people? August 24. The volcano violently erupts, burying Pompeii in ash and poisonous gases. There was a nearby city named Herculaneum that was buried in a mudslide. The present day, archaeologists have excavated most of Pompeii. It was actually easy to excavate Pompeii because the ash was something that, after it solidified, it was very porous, and you can cut it into blocks, and they could remove that very easily. Herculaneum was another matter because Herculaneum was buried in a mudslide, which later turned into complete rock. It's taken a lot longer to make any progress excavating Herculaneum. But Pompeii, as you can see here, look, this is an ancient Roman city that has been recovered from the volcano. Something interesting. Excavators have found numerous cavities left in the ash after biological material completely decomposed. When plaster is poured in the cavity, we can learn what was there. Okay, so these were at one time, what you see here, these were wooden figurines representing, as we've studied, the lares, the household gods, okay? And so when excavators found these little holes, they would pour plaster in, and the plaster would fill in, and whatever the indentation was, the hollow area left by the biological material, you could then get a mold out of it. But guess what, people? Here from Pompeii, numerous molds of dead people that died at Pompeii. So there was a person there, and that person decomposed. They were able to pour plaster into the hole, and then they were able to get that mold. Here you can see what looks like a group of people who they huddled together, unable to escape the city. This sadly seems to be a family, that there was what looks like a mother with the child, a slightly older child, and a father nearby. Here, sadly, is another family situation. This looks to be mother and child, and the father has propped himself up and was watching his wife and child die as the volcano was continuing to pour ash on them. Here, sadly, is a person who sat down in a corner, put his head in his hands, and he died that way. And here is a dog, and the saddest thing of all here, people, when this dog was discovered, he was still chained up. whoever fled the city or died did not free this dog, and this dog died. The human tragedy was enormous. Their loss, however, preserved for all time a valuable window in ancient Roman life. So we have here the amphitheater, where they would have seen the play. Remember the stage where we talked about the play? It's the best preserved amphitheater from the ancient world because it was buried by ash. Here you have a taberna. So in these little holes, they would have underneath here, they might have had basins with food and wine, and just like today, like a food cart or something, or a food truck, people would come up and they would order something and they would be served out of that. Cave canem, that is Latin for beware of dog. We actually have, there's a book from ancient Rome called the Satyricon, where there's a reference to people having this mosaic in their houses. And then at Pompeii, we actually found an example of it. And here we have the palaestra. Remember where Quintus threw the discus, and Milo, and with the statue and the broken nose and all that? This is actually a latrine, okay? So this, it's basically, if you were going to sit down right here, or you can use it as a urinal here. And this is not flushing in the modern sense, except they arranged that there was a continuous flow of water continuing through this, okay? But people would have used this as a public latrine. Here we have for like milling like grain. You would pour the grain. People would like turn these. There would be a wooden stake through here. They would have turned these, and then the flour would come out the bottom here. You see here mosaics preserved from ancient Pompeii. Here was the amphitheater where the gladiatorial contests happened, and you can see Mount Vesuvius in the distance. And here you have the helmets, the myrmilons. Remember, those are the ones with the fish crest helmet. Here you have an aerial view showing the palaestra, the exercise yard, next to the amphitheater. And here you have a well-preserved house. So you can see they actually had here, up here, this was open, and if it rained, it would all get collected into this little pool right here. Here you have a typical city street in Pompeii. They had these rocks positions periodically so people could step across the road, and the wheels of the carts that would basically be wide enough that they could pass here. And this was because the fact is this would have been filled with raw sewage. The city did not have very good drainage, and so at any given time, this might have been filled with just a bunch of trash, and so they had these stepping stones so that people could get across the road. All right, people, let's face the reality. Caecilius died. Caecilius lived until the volcano, 79 CE. But I know what you're wondering. What about the rest? Cerberus died with him, people. This you didn't know until just now. Metella also died that day. We will learn this in an upcoming story, okay? We will learn that, in fact, Metella also died that same day. But the question is, what about Quintus and Clemens? They live, people. Quintus and Clemens are going to figure prominently in stories of Book 2. So what adventures await them? Two men on a journey of discovery with a ring. Get it? Get it? Just like Lord of the Rings. Maybe I've never seen that movie. Anyway, it's even more exciting than that. So here's what's going to happen, people. Clemens is going to give the signet ring to Quintus. Quintus is going to give Clemens his freedom. But the two of them are still going to be partners. They are going to have many adventures coming up. Quintus is basically like a 17-year-old multimillionaire, okay? That's what's about to happen in Book 2. So, what are some of the exciting things that are going to happen in Book 2? Slave revolts, conspiracies, flying dragons, and organized crime, boat races, and shipwrecks, and even, you have no idea what's about to happen. I'm going to hit the slide. A dancing bear. You heard me. A dancing bear. Together in Elysium, Caecilius est pater was the first sentence we ever read. Metella est mater was the second sentence we ever read. Caecilius and Metella have passed away, but our book now will continue with further adventures of Quintus and Clemens.